The Championship season is upon us, with Derby County heading to the Bet365 Stadium to take on Stoke City in just a few days' time. But who is going to come out on top, and how has pre-season gone for both of these two teams? Now, obviously, across the course of pre-season, both teams have made a range of different transfers, as well as put together a squad which they believe is capable of battling at the top end of this division, maybe even a little bit more than that. But which of these two sides has it in their locker to do so? Now, obviously, Stoke City currently managed by that of Mark Robbins, Derby County managed by John Eustace. As we head in to the opening games of the season, both managers head into their first full season in charge of their current clubs, and hopefully they can take them on to better stables. Now, obviously, there is no league table to look at because nobody has played a game yet. Obviously, we have Birmingham versus Ipswich tomorrow, which will be a very, very interesting watch. But I will be doing a live watch along of Derby County versus Stoke City on Saturday afternoon, going live from about 2:30 to discuss the transfer window, team selection, and everything heading into this game. Obviously, if you are a Derby fan, Stoke fan, make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on the notification bell, hit the like button as well to make sure you stay tuned for when the live stream drops. And if you have not done so already, let me know your thoughts on this game down in the comments, and I'll catch you in the next part of this video. We're taking a keen interest in Derby County versus Stoke. Now, across the course of pre-season, Derby County have obviously faced a range of different opponents, including the likes of Matlock Town, Red Bull Salzburg, Walsall, Burton Albion, Solihull Moors and Atromis, whereas Stoke City have faced a different like of opposition. And Stoke City, they are a decent side, and they've put together some decent moves, in my opinion, in that terms of putting their squad together. Now, if we do just take a look at their pre-season, they faced up against Shrewsbury, faced up against Brighton, Liverpool, Crewe Alexander, Wolverhampton Wanderers and Burnley. They have only won I think it's 2 of their pre-season friendlies, with a draw in another and then 3 defeats, which is obviously a little bit disappointing for them. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter until the season gets started. Now, I think it was yesterday they announced the signing of Jamie Donnelly on loan, which is a really good move for them. It gives them an extra option in that forward area. And Derby County just a couple of days ago announced the signings of Dion Sanderson and Bobby Clark, both of which I did live streams on this channel. And it is going to be very, very interesting to see how these two sides shake up. Now, as per the Stoke City injury list on FootMob, they don't actually have anyone out injured to start the season. However, I know that this isn't 100% correct, because for Derby County it has just 1 player out, despite the fact that we know there is about 4 or 5 who are potentially set to miss out on this game. Now, obviously, as I'm sitting here right now, we have not yet heard from John Eustace as we head towards the opening day, but there will be a video out later in regards to the press conference and obviously the injury list heading into that opening game of the season, which is going to be a very, very interesting one. Now, obviously, in terms of those injuries for Derby County, you've got Curtis Nelson, Sondre Langas, Lars Jørgen Selverson and Kane Wilson, who are all pretty much confirmed to be out of this game, as well as new signing Patrick Ajimang. A player like Andreas Weimann is on his return to fitness after his surgery at the back end of last season, but he will be available for this game as per the recent friendlies. But you've also got to look at a player like Matt Clark, as well as new loan signing Erwin Beck, who are both players who could potentially miss out on this one. It's obviously disappointing for Matt Clark and Owen Beck not to be involved in this game, but I do think, obviously, we don't have confirmation they're not going to be involved, don't get me wrong, but there is that possibility. Now, I think it is really interesting to discuss that sort of matter that we have, because if you do look at some of the players missing out and you look at the squad that Derby County have available, it is outrageous, in my opinion. I spoke yesterday early in the morning about the transfers that Derby County are making, and how I believe that it's making us into be the Championship dark horses. And I don't really think that anybody can bat an eyelid at that, if I'm completely honest, because we've made some really, really good signings this summer, and if those signings pull up the way we expect them to, then we could be in a really good position. And that's not even including players like Kane Wilson and Sondre Langas, who are still to come back for fitness levels and things like that. Now, if we do just take a brief look at the squad at Stoke City, obviously they have some very good players. Victor Johansson is one who we need to keep an eye on because it is rumoured that there is Premier League interested in him, and obviously it could be a situation where he ends up leaving. Obviously, as of today, he has not left. But it will be interesting to see how that does develop. Stoke City also have former Derby County goalkeeper Frank Fielding within their ranks, which is obviously an interesting one. Across the course of this summer, they brought in a Derby County target in Maxime Talaverov, who signed from Plymouth Argyle. They've also brought in former West Ham and England international Aaron Cresswell. They've brought in Ashley Phillips. They've brought in some really, really good players for me. Obviously, Sorba Thomas is another one. Obviously, I mentioned Jamie Donnelly earlier, and I think they're putting together a very, very good squad here at Stoke City. And I think if you look at like what Mark Robins has done in the past with his previous clubs, I think they're in a really good position to sort of build on sort of where they finished last season, which obviously wasn't the greatest, but it kept them up, and that's sort of the important thing for me. And that was always the important thing for Derby. It was staying in the division. It was making sure you had another year of that Championship TV money, another year to sort of build and develop. If Derby County had gone down, you probably take 3 steps back, and that's the same with Stoke City. Whereas because both teams stayed up, you stay on that same level and you can start to make steps forward. And some people may think Stoke haven't. I do believe they have taken a couple of steps forward, but it'll be interesting to see how it develops with Mark Robins across the course of the next week or so. You've obviously got Derby County managed by John Eustace, who pretty much doubled Paul Warren's points tally in that second half of the season. Realistically, it was in 10 games, really. We was unbelievable. Playoff form, which was obviously impressive to see as Derby County fans, and hopefully that can sort of carry on into this season. Now, if we look at players brought in, you've got the likes of Richard O'Donnell, Danny Bart, Dion Sanderson. You've obviously got the introduction of Owen Beck, Bobby Clark. David Ozo was returned for another loan spell. And you've also got the likes of Ryan Brewster, Andreas Weimann, you've got Carlton Morris, Patrick Ajimang, who have all joined up with the squad as well. You've also got players like Lars Jørgen Selverson, who are returning to fitness, who is essentially going to be a new signing. Corey Blackett-Taylor has never really hit the ground running at Derby County, but now he seems to have found his stride and he's been unbelievable during pre-season. He's a player who I think can certainly take Derby County to that next level if he can continue this form. I think Kenzo Helpmine is another player who has been very, very impressive at the start of this season, and that's something which I hope that, obviously it is only pre-season, but I hope that he can carry that into the season. And then obviously you've got players like David Ozo, who, if he can stay fit, we're going to be in a brilliant position. Bobby Clark is an excellent addition in terms of what he can offer. Now, there is obviously rumours regarding that of Lewis Travis from Blackburn, but obviously no deal has yet been agreed. There's also rumours in regards to that of Max Johnston from Sturm Graz, which we're obviously waiting for confirmation that that deal is sort of going to go through. But right now we don't have that confirmation yet. And last night he did not play in what was a friendly for Sturm Graz, which was quite interesting really, because I believe that their season's already started, so the friendly as well, the fact that he wasn't even involved is obviously quite an interesting one. But we will just sort of see how it sort of adapts across the course of the next few weeks, the next few months. It's okay, it is completely fine, but it's one of those for me where I sort of hope we can get that deal done. In terms of Derby County, there's obviously some players who are probably going to be moving on as well this summer, which is it's obviously disappointing to see players move on. But you look at someone at the likes of Joe Ward, who struggled for injuries, not really been able to stay fit. A loan spell could be on the cards for him. You look at Jake Rooney, I think he's about 19, 20, maybe 21 now. Needs to be getting that first team football, and if he's not going to get it here, he needs that opportunity to go out and get that, in my opinion. You then obviously go sort of into the midfield area. Ben Osborne really struggled with injuries recently, could potentially be one to sort of head out the exit door. And then obviously finally you've got Dejan Brown, who it was reported yesterday that Derby County have given the green light for him to make that move away at just 19 years old, which is in my opinion, the right move to do. I've spoken about it a couple of times on this channel across the course of the last 12 months because I believe that Dejan Brown has to be playing football. He needs to be playing football, and I don't necessarily think he's been getting the game time he deserves here. Obviously, yes, he picked up that injury late on last season, but I don't think he played anywhere near enough minutes to warrant sticking around the squad. And then you've also got to keep your eyes on players like Charles Abuka, Cruz Allen, now McAndrew, who have all sort of hit that age now where they can all start to go out on loan. But it will be interesting to see how that does develop across the course of the next couple of weeks, essentially, until the transfer window does close. Now, obviously, heading into this one, in terms of team predictions and things like that, what are we really going to see for Derby County? I think I do think it's going to be an interesting one for us because you've got such a change in setups and systems from last season, and I do believe it's going to be a 4-3-3 setup for Derby, in which, for me, if everybody is fit, this wouldn't be my team, obviously, but we're in that sort of position where we're not quite sure on the likes of Matt Clark, not quite sure on Ryan Niambi, and that sort of puts you in a position where you don't really know where to go in terms of the players that you have available, and it makes it really difficult to put a team together. But I also think that the amount of quality that we have in this squad is also sort of making it very, very difficult as well. But if we are going to go through the starting 11 that I think is going to play, I'm going Zetterstrom in goal, a back four of Niambi at right back, Rooney, Bar at centre back with Fozzie at left back. I've gone for a midfield three of Ozo, Kenzo and Adams, although I think Ozo and Thompson, it's very much a 50-50, and I think eventually there's a world where Ibu Adams doesn't get into the team, but we'll get into that sort of later down the line if it happens, and I'll explain why I think it could be the right move. But then obviously you look at the front three, Blackett Taylor on the left, I think it's going to be Rhian Brewster on the right and Carlton Morris as that number 9. You obviously then look at sort of like the bench. I think you're going to look at like a Josh Vickers, you're going to look at maybe Owen Beck if he's fit, but I think it's one of those where the bench really at the moment fills itself, but once everyone comes back, we're going to have some players that are going to be missing out and some tough conversations that are going to be happening. Now, for me, I predict that Derby County are going to win this game 2-1. I think in terms of goals, I think Blackett, Taylor and Carlton Morris are going to pop up with the goods, but I don't really care who scores. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be one to keep an eye on, and we're going to be doing a live watch along of that on Saturday afternoon for those of you who aren't able to get to the game. We will be live from around 2:30 to discuss team selection, the transfer window and everything like that. I'll answer your questions as the game is going on, and we'll sort of keep ourselves across it as time moves on. Now, obviously, you can let me know your thoughts down in the comments if you have not done so already. Make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button and turn on that notification bell, and I'll catch you in my next video later on.